Okay, I pushed the recording button. You've just said you've built a tool that connects to Morgan, so explain, please.
I hate the Command Shift K or Command K like task adding mechanism. It is clunky because I only ever use it to add tasks. I would never add an event like that because I don't really do the events.
Hmm.
So it always defaults to events, which is annoying.
Yep.
And then you have to remember all of the shortcuts for the basic stuff. So when the due date is, importance, like which task list you want to put it on, all of that stuff you have to remember. And I don't like it.
Fair enough. I
So,
mean, most of those are feature requests, so yep.
oh, I like the idea of it, but it just doesn't work for me and how I work. Now, I spend a lot of time using Raycast,
Yep.
which is like a replacement for Spotlight. And I was like, I would love to just be able to go, blah, 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 put it in, and then it adds it to Morgan, and I don't have to think about it. Now, I could connect it up to one of the other integrations, so I could do it that way. But I was like, no, I want it in my Morgan tasks because some of the integrations don't interact very well with my lists, like my personal task lists, and I want to be able to connect them up in that same way. So I was like, right, fine. I will build an extension in Raycast that does it exactly my way. Because I also started using, oh yeah, this has been a busy week. I also started using Notion again for one very specific thing,
Right.
which was my work for Kit, where there is a selection of repeatable tasks that happen all of the time. And I want to be able to easily populate them in so that I could take advantage more of using frames. Because after our conversation last week, I wanted to use frames more. I'm like, yeah, this, I used to just have the block of client name migration, and
Uh-huh.
that was not detailed enough, but I didn't
Right.
want to manually put the tasks in. So I started setting up things in Notion and was like, cool, this is much better because I can just press a button, a new project comes up, and it I can use the formula stuff to set variables so that the name of the person is always in the task. Beautiful, easy, use that. But I can't set it to certain, like, of course, I can't set it to different calendar sets. So it's just one, or I couldn't figure out how to do that, and all of the documentation didn't help me very much. I was like, you know what, it's fine. It's just gonna be a bit of a mess, but it's gonna schedule it anyway, so that's fine. And then I was thinking about my tasks, like when I'm on a call or when I'm talking to someone, I want to be able to quickly add a task. So when I'm trying to use Morgan, it's like Command Shift K, and then I'm too busy looking over here or over there to go because I haven't found a shortcut to just go straight to task.
As in when you're typing in the command bar.
Yeah.
If you add something to a task list, obviously it has
Uh,
to be a task.
you have, so you would get, yeah, see,
So
that
if you use something that is task specific, like a priority, a due date, or a task list,
makes sense,
then it has to be a
but then you
task.
have to remember all of those things, and I couldn't be bothered with all that.
Yep.
So I spent about an hour using Claude Code and Raycast's like integrations, and then version 2 of the API because tasks aren't on the version 3 for some unknown reason. Cry, sob in a corner. And I built an extension in Rake into Raycast so
Cool.
that I
And I know someone else has also done something similar, but I don't know enough about the Raycast or the coding side of what they've done because it was done a while ago. But I know a couple of people who kind of done the same thing as you. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to wait for Morgan Devs. I'm going to do it myself.
yeah, because I just wanted it to work so I could use it. It's only local now. I haven't published it to the store at all, but I was like, this is a really nice small way of setting up my environment my way instead of having to do it, having to wait for a dev to set it up specifically how I want it. And
So
I think
what
that,
is it that you were? What is it that you've changed or added?
as
So
in
in Raycast, how does the experience differ? Is it just default task first or?
yeah, so this it is basically as soon as I add a task, I type task, I have a task name due date, which I can just use like natural language processing, which is really cool. I set the importance and I set the task list. It's all on my keyboard, but I don't have to remember shortcuts because it's just laid out one, two, three, four. That I think is the the speed of it. It's the not wanting to spend time learning more about how Morgan sets things up just in case it changes in the future versus just having a process that I naturally use
So
anyway.
it gives you like questions like, what's your priority for this? What's your
Yeah, it's
task
got
list for
literally
this?
task name, due date, importance, and task list.
All right, okay. Do you
And
have
so
estimate? I assume you can still add estimate in there as well.
I can add estimate afterwards, yeah. And
Yeah.
I just I don't really necessarily use the estimates until after, like, I know what it is or whether this is designed to be really quick. I don't have to think about it. So, like, when I'm in a meeting which doesn't have Fathom, because that's sometimes what happens, because they don't want it or whatever reason, I can just very quickly use command space task name, due date, importance, task list. And often I've started using just the default, which is inbox,
Mhm.
and then putting it in that little inbox slot because I created an inbox slot similar to what you have. And that's been really cool.
I was going to
Really
say
helpful.
that's so in your scenario, I would do the same thing. I'd use obviously the default Control Shift K, type out the task. If I know I'm going to do it later, I will probably say like 10 m, 20 m, and then 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. because it's in the evening at some time, uh, and then just throw it in. Uh,
Mm,
yeah, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, if it's related to a thing, I'll add it to a task list, like a topic if it's trampoline,
yeah.
Morgan, or deaf community. And even in the inbox, I think I'd just arrow key down, enter. My hands do it, so I don't
Mm,
actually acknowledge what it is that I'm doing as much now when I'm explaining it. But yeah,
mm.
okay.
It was a way of just because that was the focus for me. It's like not I could learn the shortcuts. I could spend time fumbling and gaining the competency and learning the shortcuts and doing all of that. But it's like, is that what I want to be able to do? No, I want to be able to do this now in a way that I can just do so I can get on with the things I want to do. Because now, guess what it means? I'm putting more tasks in Morgan, which means I'm making more use of the AI planner because it's set up how I want it to be set up. And that makes sense. So it's really like it's such a small, tiny thing. And thanks to AI code, it took me half an hour, 40 minutes to make. It was very, very quick.
Nice.
And now and a
I am
lot of
curious. Right,
yeah.
go for it.
A lot of the conversations around coding with AI, like vibe coding, is about how or just AI in general, is about how it's going to make our brains rot.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, no. I mean,
It depends on
yeah,
the person.
it depends on the person, but the people who want to use it in that way will find another way. They
Yeah.
they don't need help.
Yep.
And AI will still produce junk. But if you do already think AI is really, really good. And I don't just mean thinking from the point of, oh, we can make loads of money from this. Because I've been watching a lot of vibe coding videos and stuff talking about it. It's just like, it's all based on, oh, making hundreds of thousands of pounds with vibe coding. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care about that. I mean, yeah, sure, I'm building an app that I will sell and like do stuff with. Sure. But that's because I first wanted a tool for me that helped me. So I don't really care about like making a shit ton of money with it. I care about doing really cool stuff with it that helps me, and then other people can have it too. Because it just makes sense. Because this is it's a way of helping people build an ecosystem of work that fits for them and actually works how they work instead of having to try and keep switching between apps. Because if you think about it, if I continue to struggle, the best thing about Morgan is I love the AI planner. For me, that is the thing of scheduling my tasks in. That's the bit I really love. That's the bit in my workflow that I really like. But then I wasn't adding enough tasks in, so it wasn't really making much sense. So I would have used a different app instead of just building a very small tool very quickly that's just on my local space, and then off I go.
So I'm intrigued about the Notion side of this workflow. How
Oh, it's really boring.
Yeah, but you've said you're using Notion properties in the filters. So what filters?
Oh, the Notion thing is very simply, I have when I work for Kit to keep it as broad as possible,
Yeah.
I work on projects for a particular client. I'm doing migration work, and there is this series of steps that we take every single time.
Hmm.
And so I want to be able to pull that information into Morgan through my own system and be able to have that in there. So basically, I have a specific project type, or I only have one pro. That is what the projects are for. It is just for my kit work because then I can see all the granular steps and I don't have to think about those steps because I create the project when I get a new migration. I can just create a project and then press a button, all the tasks populate, and it pulls into Morgan, and then I schedule it out into the Morgan blocks.
Yeah, so you're using Notion to generate a preset list of tasks,
Yeah, so it's the kind of preset list of tasks
like
that
the
I'm using more
templating.
than, yeah, it's the templating and generating tasks and just making it happen, which Morgan can't currently do.
Hmm. Feature request again. Um,
Yeah.
and then
It's as if you spend a long time with the feature requests.
yeah, only all 700 of them. Yeah, and then once you've got those tasks, those granular tasks, do you use the AI planner to schedule those in, or you just manually you are using, yeah.
Yeah, most of the time I use AI Planner. Sometimes I have to reorder them because it creates all of the tasks, including stuff that I can't do until other things are done. So
Right,
sometimes I have to,
dependencies.
yeah, so there are dependencies there, which I don't think I have inside of Morgan or inside of that. It's not necessary because what I do is I just set the priority lower. So I have the stuff that needs to be done immediately up at the highest priority.
Uh-huh.
I scale down. So when it comes to the final parts of the thing, they're like literally low priority or no priority. So they're less likely to be scheduled in. But then if things are done within the 8 hours schedule like time, then they'll put the other ones in. I'm like, yeah, I'm not quite done with that yet. Let's just bring that one back in and let's just move that around. And that works for me.
Okay. Yeah. I mean the so I have something like similar obviously with videos. I can't edit the video if I haven't recorded the video. So when the edit video task would go up, I'd just be like ignore that one.
Mm,
Ignore that one, do the rest first.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so I assume you do something similar.
pretty much. Yeah, I just press ignore and then it comes back next time I schedule the organize. Schedule the organize. Schedule is the planner.
Yeah. Yeah. English, easy language.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone that's watching this that uses Morgan will know that the web app is in development. And it's exciting to see, but I'm more interested, me personally, because I was listening to a podcast. Do you know the Cortex podcast with
Don't know.
um oh, GCP Grey?
Oh, I
GCP.
know that. I know the name, but I don't know the podcast itself.
Yeah, so GCP Grey makes videos on YouTube, quite
Yep, I
popular
knew that.
videos, like cartoony type videos of various topics. And he has a podcast that goes on. And once every year, he talks with his co-host in the podcast about apps that they use. Apps in their phone, apps on their computer, their home screens, their productivity tools, their tasks, project, notes, apps, stuff. GCP Grey is a big Obsidian user. Uh, and they recently not Gray, but the other guy, I can't remember his name, had a conversation with a another creator, and they're talking about workflows, so like workflow chat, something like that. And they were talking about all the different tools that they use, and it was interesting to hear them say that the phone is probably the most important productivity tool that they have.
Mm.
And they're expecting that to be the most important tool for most people. And what intrigues me the most about that is they were talking about, oh yeah, I use my phone all the time to add tasks and to check my calendar. And I'm like, no, I use my computer. I use my computer for that. Yes, I use my phone for productivity, but it's for WhatsApp conversations, Discord conversations, Slack
Mm.
conversations. It's keeping
Mm.
up with communities, not keeping up with work I gotta do. Like, yeah, I'll use notifications to check where I'm meant to be if I've got an event or a place I gotta go or a task I really need to do, but that's just a notification if I'm not at my computer.
Mm.
So I think I would still put desktop first rather than mobile. What about
Yeah,
you?
same. Same. I don't really use my I mean, I don't really like the Morgan integration on the Morgan app. I think it's really
I take Morgan off out the conversation
but
for a
like
second.
yeah, but like I think I am primarily on a computer. Yeah, most of my work it's communication on here and then work on here
Hmm.
for me as well. I don't
Yeah.
think I really use most of the other pieces. No, not really. It's communication primarily on my phone.
Yeah, and I feel bringing Morgan back in now. I feel it wasn't a deliberate decision, but because Morgan is so bare bones on the phone, you don't get like sucked into planning all your stuff on your phone.
Yeah.
You don't go through your lists, you don't organize the tasks, you don't check multiple days in the future. You can if you want to, but you don't do it because it's just not. It's not difficult, but you've got to know where you're going and what you're doing.
See,
Um,
the only time I ever open Morgan on my phone is to check when an event is going to be.
yeah.
Like, I think that's the only time I don't, or when I'm really needing to capture something quickly. But I still don't like it.
Yep.
So
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I think because I know mobile is a huge thing on sort of the feature requests of Morgan, people want to do basically everything of Morgan just on mobile, which is kind of difficult because Morgan does a lot of stuff. Um, but I don't even know how or why I would go about using it on mobile. I just don't. So
There's not enough real estate to do it.
exactly. I'm like I don't even if you could do everything that Morgan Desktop does on mobile, I don't know what I would do. Like, I can't push a keyboard shortcut to change calendar set. I'd need to push a couple of places to change calendar set.
Mm.
Um, and so I don't think I'd want to do that. And to see tasks and events in the same view, which some people have asked, I'm like, yeah, no, I'd only want to see scheduled things. I don't want to see the unscheduled and the scheduled. So a task widget, yeah, that'd be nice, but I can already see that if I open up the Morgan App and go to tasks, I can go into all the lists. Um, and you've got a today view, a tomorrow view in there. Like double tap it. I'm just going to double check that I'm not hallucinating here. But yeah, overdue today, upcoming, and tomorrow. So it's got an unscheduled view there, and I mean, you saw there, it was quick. It didn't take
Mm.
long. Open phone, well, double tap phone, put thumb on phone, push like on the Morgan because I got Morgan widget on my home screen. Push there, and then I'm in the task view, and I can see
Yeah,
the widgets.
I don't know. I also don't get the need for a web app, if I'm quite honest, because I don't know what it is. I just prefer desktop apps.
The web app is an interesting one. It's for onboarding mainly
Ah.
because people, for whatever reason, don't think about downloading an app. They want to see it straight away on the computer. So it's not necessarily for the Morgan users that want to use the web app. It's the new Morgan users that don't realize it's an app, which there's quite a lot of.
Wow.
Yeah, to give you a bit of insight into yes, Morgan, but everyone, like all the developers aren't necessarily looking at the power users or the practical use cases or the frequent workflows. They're looking at essentially the bottom line. How do we increase the bottom of the pyramid to get more users? Which is why Notion went the way they are, or they did. It's why a lot of tools avoid power users, and it's why the web app is coming up. Like, yes, people want to use the web app because they can't use an app on their computer at work, or
That makes sense. I suppose that is a thing.
yeah, like they're not allowed third-party apps at work, or their computer is finicky with certain apps for whatever reason, or they don't want an app because they want it all on their browser because whatever personal reasons or setup reasons for Linux users and loads of other things. So I get
Oh,
those,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
but there's not a significant amount of those. Well, not from what we've seen anyway, because they obviously if they only want a web app and we don't have a web app and the first thing they do is find out that we don't have a web app, they don't
They just don't do it, do they? No,
yeah, they
that's
just
true.
don't use it. So they're
Yeah, that
gone.
makes sense.
So those ones are the ones that you don't know about, but because of the data that's collected on like download links and things, you can see the numbers and where people drop off. It's around that sort of space, which makes sense because when I look at all of the data from my stuff, it's normally right at the start that people drop off. When you look at Notion, people drop off right at the start. Obsidian, people drop off right at the start. Most people that use any sort of app, if they're not happy right at the start, then they'll go
They
elsewhere.
just not use it. Yeah.
Yeah, you look at
Yeah.
Francesco, the Keep Productive space. They are surface level reviews, and if that's what people see, they bounce, they're gone. And if they've gone onto this platform and then they can't work out how to actually see their calendar, they're gone. So they didn't realize it was an app they needed to download. They can't see their calendar, so they're gone.
So interesting.
Yeah, user experiences is just yeah, especially obviously being running a business, coaching business and trampoline, those sorts of things are what I'm actively looking at when it comes to signing up. How do I make this as seamless and easy as possible? And I think our process is as easy as possible. The button is literally the first thing that you see on the home screen. And then when you scroll down, you have to scroll down the information, which is also on the website again. And then it has the location, which people still ask me for, but it has the location in the sign up fee, sign up registration thing. And you just fill out the boxes. It's literally push button, fill out boxes, done. Um, and all the other frequent questions are answered online, which I think is simple, is easy. Um, but yeah, directing out everyone to the same place, which Morgan does. It's just there is a another barrier which they're trying to get rid of, hence the web app, so they can sort of just jump straight in. Uh, but it does beg the question, if mobile isn't a big enough issue, is it worth it? So I don't know of I mean, calendar apps aren't big, but I don't know of a calendar app that's big on mobile. Todoist and TickTick are big on mobile,
Yes.
but I don't think when I think of Akiflow, I don't think mobile. When I think Motion, I don't think mobile. Even Google Calendar, I don't think mobile.
No. I go to calendar.google.com if I ever wanted to do that.
Yep.
It would be the web app. Huh. So fascinating.
Yeah, I just don't think of a calendar app on mobile, but
Mm-mm.
everyone's got a calendar app on their mobile,
Mm,
and most of it will be the default Apple Calendar, Google Calendar um, tool.
mm,
In which case, I guess any like Agiflow, Motion, Morgan, any calendar app needs to be able
mm,
to battle with the default apps, which is hard.
mm.
Just the fact that you can like scroll in and like zoom in and zoom out with with your thumb and finger on Google Calendar, like, that I imagine requires quite a lot of development to make it work and
Yeah,
not be
you've got to
clunky.
you also have to build it on like just for the Apple ecosystem, you have to build it on the Apple ecosystem and then you have to put it over to the Android system. And
Mm-hmm.
they are very different.
Mm-hmm. And obviously all the data that you do on mobile has got to be able to sync to desktop.
Mm. Whereas a web app, from my understanding, is fairly easy to build, judging by the fact that I've built one with just AI and not much experience.
Yep. Obviously, there's loads of other stuff behind the scenes
Of
depending on what you're
course,
doing.
yeah,
But yeah,
but or
it's it's
they built
simpler than.
desktop first, not web first. Whereas if they made it web first, they could just use Electrum or some very simple like wrapper to bring it down,
Yeah.
which is what I would probably do with Unstuck if I ever made a web app, a
Yeah.
desktop.
So, a question for you then. With the AI coding, are there jobs of just AI vibe coders out there?
No idea.
I'm just thinking, because if, like, me as a person, I don't want to make the time at the moment to code the app that I have in my head that I want to make.
Hmm.
And I could pay a developer, but that would be very expensive and not worth it right now. And so, like, is there a middle ground where it's like, okay, or could I ask an AI vibe coder that's learning to code to do the project?
Probably. That's a good job, isn't it?
Because the the question there would be like the way I see this is you've got someone that's qualified to do the job, developer. Then you've got the scholarship person that is almost at the job, so you sort of pay them a little bit less because they're doing a scholarship or you do like whatever it is, being as an apprentice. But then before that, you'd have the beginner or the volunteer. And the beginner, the volunteer, you wouldn't pay them because they're just building up experience and learning. But in between that volunteer and that scholarship is kind of like I guess where you're at. I'm moving into I could get paid for this, but I'm not sure. Or
Mm.
or I'm kind of doing this for fun, so I sort of do it on my own time. There's no real like deadline to it. I sort of just do it and learn as I go. It's similar with my sister at the moment with the editing. She's not a paid professional editor, but she's no longer a volunteer. Like she's doing edits that I can't do as a I've done a bit here and there. She's doing more complex stuff, but not quite complex enough to be paid, fully paid. And so she's doing my editing to like, she needs material to edit to practice.
Mm.
So I'm giving her material edit for her to edit and practice and learn. Um, so it works for both parties. And I'm like, is there a place for that? Like AI vibe coders that just need like a project to do. Like I want to learn vibe coding, but I actually need a project to do. I need a scope. I need
It's very much
ideas.
like how you learn coding as well.
Well, yeah, but that's
Like
that's
if
what I
you
mean.
look at the traditional approach to learning code, what I am finding, like to pivot this way and to get to
Yep.
that way, is as I'm learning, as I'm building this out, I'm learning so freaking much so quickly. Like this is the it has been really fun to watch how things are being built and then just going through like, oh, why did you do that? Oh, why did you do that? And how did that happen? And why was this so quick and that wasn't so quick? And how is that like I am starting to ask the questions a developer would actually ask. I'm like, are we ensuring that this is safe? Do we have the back end and the back end and the front end and the front end? Do we have that? Is that safe? Is that secure? Blah, 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 blah. And it's really interesting just from building something just for me
Yeah.
and learning how to commit stuff and using the terminal and how to use the terminal effectively and ways that things interact with each other and how the React coding language works and the fact that there's actually I've recently learned that there's Next.js which is built on top of React and I'm like, oh, I thought they were two separate things. Cool. And then you have people go, oh, I just learned to code properly. I'm like, I'd love to. I don't have 50 plus hours to spend
I want to
watching
get something
videos.
done as well as learning as I go.
Yeah. Like I want to learn as I go. That's the darn point. That's what we all want, really.
Yep. Yep. I mean, in an ideal world, I'd have a developer with me helping me through it,
Hmm,
but that would be classed as a coach
hmm,
because there is a coach helping you through it.
hmm.
I can't
But if you're,
imagine.
I don't think a developer would want to do that or could.
I reckon they could, but I reckon they'd sit there getting frustrated pretty quick
Hmm.
because like developing and tech. there are answers that work and there are answers that don't work. Whereas in traditional coach settings, there aren't necessarily answers. There are things that are likely to work, but you wouldn't know because there's so many other dynamics that happen in sport or in business or in life.
Mm.
Whereas in tech, it's one and one is two. It just is. It's just the way it works.
That's why I think AI is really good for now because it knows that what I want to do is, but it's the thinking part that I think uh, um is the bit that AI still just. I don't think AI is going to get there because
It's
we are
deterministic. It
humans.
needs an answer, and if there isn't an
Yeah.
answer, it's regurgitating all the possibilities from the text that we've put online, which yeah, that's why I need to double check, triple check it.
Mm, mm.
But yes, very interesting. Yeah, every time I look at my Excel spreadsheet, I think this would be so much easier if I had an app to do this, but I don't. And I've looked at the tools out there, but I mean, I imagine similar to you, they just don't do what I want them to do.
Yeah, that is the thing. That's why I built on top of Morgan in Raycast.
Mm,
Because I could go and build my entire task management, calendar, scheduling system and build another Morgan. But I like Morgan. I just don't like this tiny little thing. And really, I could just learn it, but I don't want to because it's not a skill that I can use elsewhere. Like memorizing a shortcut for one specific system, for one specific tool, for but one specific way, versus how I'm naturally doing things. I
mm.
will just do it that way because it's quicker.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, if there is a developer listening, this is what I have in mind. Uh, but the booking systems that I've seen is you book a term, or you book a year, or you book a recurring slot. It's not, okay, I can look at the calendar and say, I want to have that Friday, that Wednesday at that time, that Friday at that different time, that Saturday at that time, and I want two people on that day, I want one person on that day, I want three people on that day. Like, one person can't do that on most of the booking systems or the booking systems I've seen because the parent is in charge of one or both children and you're like, yeah, but I only want one child on that day, and I want both children on that day. I want a child and a friend on that day. And this one person booking it has to navigate all these things. All the systems that I've seen so far are either really complex, and you can do it, but you have to like book them all up, and then you have to individually go through and like cancel this, cancel that, cancel this. And you have to do it for the term, or it's recurring in some way. And then you've got payment systems online as well, of course. And I would need to do it, or they would need to do it, but once they've done it, they need verifying from me. And you're like, I'd rather them just send me a message, say, I want these, and then I put them in, which is what happens at the moment. Uh, so all I really want is a person to be able to look at a calendar, the calendar show the available slots, and go, yeah, I want two there. I want two spaces there, please. Which,
Do you have a limit of numbers? Do you have a limit of
yeah,
like,
how many people in a session? Yeah. So it's 12 in a session.
did you start building this?
But yes, yeah. This is when I started building, and then I had struggles with authenticating a particular user going in, and then
Oh
I ran
yeah,
out
because
of
you
AI
want one
prompts, and
user to be able to book for like 8 or 9 people,
potentially,
or
yeah,
like a lot of people.
yeah. So it's like essentially, I want a person to be able to log in. And then almost like book for one person, book for a second person if they've got two or three people, um, and then that's essentially it. I just want them to be able to book for each person, and then when there's 12 people in a slot, it then get blocked up so they can't book it. And then me, as the user on my side, can see who's in what session, who's not in the other sessions. So it'd be named like person one, person two, person three, person seven, all in session one, because the one person booking has booked it in for person one and person two. And then the booking person two has booked in person seven for that session as well. I can see you thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially all I'm really looking for. All the other stuff is
Mm.
niceties. But that is my biggest friction point at the moment is working out who's
Who
what,
can
where,
fit
and
in
when.
where? Yeah.
Yeah,
That,
I've tried using booking systems like Morgan or calendar apps, but again, you've got to pay a lot for it, and
yeah.
it doesn't sound difficult to develop, but I don't.
I'm
I
just thinking, I'm already thinking of the prompt I'd use because I would try using because there's different ways of doing it where you do the back end and the front end together,
uh-huh.
or you do the front end UI bits first and then and use dummy data and then you build the back end stuff. And I'm like, that's interesting. I've not tried that yet. And I'm already way into unstuck to do that. So I'm like, cool.
Right, do you want to give it a go?
Yeah, I can give it a go. We'll
Right.
chat afterwards because that's quite interesting to me.
Well, I was going to say that was the last point I had. Is there anything else you want to add?
To
Just generally the conversation, because
oh,
now that you said you're interested, I'm like, oh, okay. If you can help, that'd be great. Because, like I say, it sounds like an easy thing, but with anything,
mm,
unless you've got a coach to help you get through it, which is either AI, or you've got someone willing to sort of plod through with you, it's a lot of time and effort that I know I don't want to set aside for it yet, because I need to get other stuff done. But
yeah, yeah. Have you
but,
seen, like, because we're talking about AI, have you seen that interesting paper around, like, an MIT paper which talks about how, due to AI, everyone's getting stupider?
I haven't seen the paper, but it doesn't surprise me that someone has done that research, and I don't think it's accurate.
No, it's not.
I would need to look at the paper, but I don't think it's
So
accurate.
it is a sample size of under 100 people. So yay. Um,
Right.
there's like 67 or something. I'm just like, everyone's now taking it on as, but what they don't like that, what I just said was the popular front end, everyone talking about it. What they didn't talk about is the fact that people who didn't use LLMs first and then started using LLMs, they were measurably smarter. I mean,
Yeah.
let's not even touch that
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I know.
stupid. But it's like, yeah. So it turns out it's a tool that you can use or not use.
And if you rely on the tool, you don't learn much yourself. If you engage yourself with the tool, you get you improve. Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to, yeah. Surprise, surprise. Lo
Shocking.
logic wins in the end.
Because AI still sucks for stuff, and I'm using it basically all the time now.
Oh, AI does suck for stuff.
Yeah. Like, even though I've trained it very well and it knows how to challenge me and in all the ways that I want it to challenge, because that's really important, because AI becomes a pleasing machine who just wants to make you feel good about things, which is what I hate and is useless to me because that doesn't help. I've trained it to start arguing with me, but then it can sometimes argue too much on things that don't actually matter. I'm like, okay, cool, hang on. Are we nearly there? Are we there enough?
Yep.
Yeah. No, we're pretty much there. Okay, cool. Why? And then it will like that
Yep.
is when you're engaging in your own thinking and it just
Hmm.
works because that's what I've been doing. Like I've gone through an entire kind of positioning shift through conversations with AI,
Right.
and it's very interesting.
Sounds it. I'm yet to have that experience.
It wasn't really the AI. The AI was just asking me questions and then challenging me on things, and I was like, "Yeah, no, that's a good point. No, no, that's not a good point." I was like, "Yeah, cool," but it was able to translate like all of the thinking into marketing language because that's the bit I struggle most with because I don't like marketing language, but I need to play the game of marketing language.
Yep, in
Otherwise,
process of that
it's
one right now.
yeah. And I'm just like, well, the AI has a ton of information about marketing, and I can challenge it and push back on the bits that are not that they are not at the level that matches what I want from my work because often it pushes into the productivity area because of course it does. But I'm like, yeah, it's not quite productivity. It's a little bit of this. And then I talk to humans and then they're like, what about this thing? And I'm like, oh, that's nice. I like that. That's how that works.
Mm,
That feels better to me. And then I'm like, I take that back to you. Oh no, this you're just getting distracted by different words. I'm like, no, think about it.
yep.
This is what we're doing right now. This is the conversation we're having. So the term that came from a human was an ecosystem of work. Because in business right now, there's a lot of conversations about marketing ecosystems, offer ecosystems, like
Hmm.
moving away from the linear funnel
Yep.
systems that have been working for years. But now people are tired of it and they want to do something different. And so what's next? Dynamic business?
Shock.
And so I was like, yeah, cool, but everyone still thinks of their tasks in a linear fashion of like project,
Well, most
task.
people will still think linearly, even with a dynamic flow. Like, even when I'm coaching dynamically, there are still elements of linear progressions. Do a forwards roll before you do a front flip.
Yeah,
But where they go after that forward roll is
yeah.
dynamic, depends on the person.
Mm.
It's not, okay, you're going to do 10 repetitions of this, then 5 of this, then 5 of this. I'm going to wait for you to have your legs in this position, your hips in this position, your head in that position. Make sure you get No, no, no. That's how you can get people doing front flips almost in like a session.
Yeah, and that's a similar thing. It's like once people, although there is linearity in the dynamicness of it, because you do have like if you think of an offer funnel, mm, there are multiple ways people can come in. That's the dynamic bit, but then they go through a sales process, a checkout, a thank you page, a this, and emails.
Yeah,
That's the linear bit.
yeah.
But then what they do next is where the swirly dynamicness is. And that's fun. But then everyone's like, oh no, I need to get all my tasks done this way and that way, and I have to have a this thing and I have to have a that thing. Like, why can't that be messy too?
Hmm.
I mean, it is
A
messy.
controlled mess, an organized mess.
Yeah. Why can't that be messy too? Well, it can't. Well, why? Because then it's inefficient. Okay, cool. Are you very efficient right now? Are you actually working efficiently in the way that you're going? Oh yeah, well I'm doing multiple things at once. I was like, are you making progress on all of those things? Yes. Okay. Why is that inefficient? Oh, because I'm jumping between tasks. I'm like, okay, cool. But you're making progress on multiple things all at the same time. Yes? Yes. That sounds pretty efficient.
No comment.
That sounds efficient to me. Would you like to complete one project or make lots of progress on all of your projects? Oh, but then I won't finish them. Really?
Yeah,
How do you define a finished project?
when it's been published.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
yes, that's been my week. I've had lots of fun this week.
I was going to say, it sounds it. Sounds
Yeah.
like a very fun week. Mine, yeah, my week's been good, just busy,
Yes.
very busy.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if
Pretty much it.
that's it. Yeah, that's AI. That's Morgan. That's developing. Nice. Techie stuff again.
Wow. Techie stuff again. It's
Yeah,
been a
I
while.
might have to walk you through my Excel spreadsheet at some point. At
I
this
think you
rate.
will. Yeah, I think you will.
Yeah, at this rate. Right. Well, talk to you all next week. Bye.
Bye.